Hey guys, how's it going? Jovan Hutton Pulitzer dropping in again during today's broadcast. I now have a lot more information regarding the Arizona lies by the GOP about how this audit is or is not going to be done. What I want to do for you is I want to expose this so you understand with your eyes how these lies are perpetrated and how Arizona is doing everything they can to make sure that you, the voter, absolutely know nothing, get no information, and it's not done right. And I think what's especially interesting is how idiotic these lawmakers are. Now, I haven't give up, but I'm going to inform you on this. Not a single, I got the first call today, the very first call, right? That actually wanted to understand how the process works. One call today, and it was an intern for a senator. Nice kid, but no facts. So here's what I want to do is you got to understand how politicians lie and how politicians do not do their homework, don't know what they're doing, have no idea about the voting machines, have no idea how to audit anything, and the old audits are part of the scam. Have you ever heard of audit catching anything or overturning anything? Of course you haven't, because they don't. And so I'm going to expose to you in their own words the lie. This is some ex-senator or something, right? And I'm going to have you watch this, okay? So here's lie number one. I'm going to explain this to you. There is, when you vote with a ballot, you know, you either fill it out or it marks it for you, take the ballot and somebody scans it in. Basically, that scan is what's called the CVR, Cast Vote Record. CVR, Cast Vote Record. It makes a photo of that, and I'm not going to answer any of these calls because people are already calling. I'm not, you know, the cast vote record's in the machine, and they're saying, okay, we're going to look at the cast vote record because it's scanned anyway, and we're going to see if there's any irregularities. Here's what they say. Now, remember, that's on the voting machine. I don't give a rat's ass about the machine, the data on the machine, of any of it. It's a lost cause legally. I care about the physical ballot, but what they want to do is look on the machine. Watch this.
CVR can be scanned. Once you start scanning the CVR, at least one piece of technology I know of will scan, I'm told by somebody who's involved in that it'll scan 500,000 ballots an hour.
So for our viewers, you're talking about the images of the actual ballots.
Correct. Now, remember that these machines, every time somebody puts their ballot into the machine, not only does it come up and tabulate, but it also takes a picture. Mm-hmm. And then those pictures are serialized, so you can go back later and look at them.
So, little Eddie Farnsworth, who was, I guess, a senator at one time, all of a sudden is now an expert. So let me tell you the expert people. I want to put up some of your comments here, right? And I am going to keep telling you the facts. People don't want it. It is a cover-up. They do not want the facts, and they don't want real people that know how to do it. So here's a guy that knows nothing about these machines. So I'm going to set him into this category. Being told, ready for this? Being told by other GOP people that are has-beens, are gone out of government, booted out, not been elected or whatever, and they're bending their buddies' ears saying, this is how it should be done. Now, see, those guys are vying to try to get $1 million contract with the state of Arizona. That's all they're doing. They're trying to get $1 million contract out of the state of Arizona. And what they want to do is, we're going to go look at the machines. We're going to do all this. And these guys are bending those ears. Now, do I think the machine should be looked at? Absolutely. But what you're hearing here is only thing I'm concerned with. And the concern with is the physical ballot. So what you heard was, well, hey, this machine actually has scans of the ballots. Now, since Mr. Farnsworth wants an expert on it, I'm the expert on it, and you'll learn more about that in a minute. He's saying we could just look at those. Let me tell you why Mr. Farnsworth is not only wrong, but why these guys, these rhinos, keep on saying that. See, it's a little known secret that even though these ballot machines are supposed to scan the images in at 300 DPI, they bleach them. You know what bleaching is? Just kind of like Hillary's bleach bit where it wiped everything. They bleach them. They bleach them. They make them lighter. And in that lightening process, and in a platform that completely neuters it, basically devalues that process, they're going to say, well, we'll look at those. So these guys, right, these guys that are basically pushing for the machines and stuff, oh, we can give you that. Well, what they've done is they've reduced the DPI. They've scanned it down to nothing. I've already looked at the CVRs. I have them from all over the United States. And I've been telling these senators and these representatives and these asshats, you can't tell anything from them. The data is corrupted. It's designed to be corrupted. You can't see it. But here's this guy basically saying, oh, we can just look at the CVRs. And look what else he says. Now, of course, Arizona is getting upset because I'm transparent. I'm not running for office. I am not a politician. I'm exposing this to the people because Arizona, when your lawmakers screw you, they are screwing the rest of the United States. And when these guys that do not know what the hell they're talking about, most of these guys don't even do email. They have interns do it, and they're going to tell you what really works. This guy has no idea, but he gets up there as an expert and he talks about it, and that's it. So let me go on with this lie. You cannot tell anything by the CVR. You cannot tell anything by the CVR. Yes, you can pay forensic experts that do forensic stuff on the voting machines. You can pay them, and they can pull these images. But it's a lie that you'll get the information you need. Let me show you how deep the lie continues to go. Because he's actually going to try to convince you, oh, we look for the folds all the time.
It'll check for duplications. It'll check for fold marks. It'll check for all of those types of things. And plus, so I think the intent has always been, let's run a scan of the CVR. That's the image file for the ballots. Mm-hmm. Let's run a scan of the CVR. Let's make sure that we believe that they're valid, that there aren't duplications, etc. One example is this scan will show if these ballots, and all the early ballots should be folded. Right. Because they go into an envelope.
And it will actually show that it was folded.
It will scan, because when you fold a piece of paper, it breaks the fibers, and the scan will pick that up, and it'll be able to tell you, no, these weren't. So, well, if they're not folded, what does that tell you? They probably didn't go in an envelope, and they were probably pre-printed and run through inappropriately.
Now, you know what's really funny? Here is this guy sitting there repeating to you what I taught the world. Well, you know, when you fold the paper, it breaks the fibers and you can never put that back together. I started raising that alarm in November. Those are my words that this guy's spouting and has no idea what he's talking about. Just so you know, there has never in the history of votes been an audit ever looking for the folds in the paper to tell if in fact they were mailed. Never, ever, ever in the history. We all wonder where he heard that, because the asshat's repeating my technology, my stuff to me. And that's what makes these guys absolutely laughable. Because what happens, right? Here's what happens. The moment I came out with this to the world and I showed it transparently, and of course, everybody's trying to scramble to get audit contracts, they immediately did a few things. Number one, they immediately start saying, hey, we work with him and we do this. They just incorporated it into their pitch. Everybody did. Next thing that happened is they go pitch it. And as soon as I found out they were pitching it and trying to use my name, I basically told them all, I am not part of your team. Do not use my name. Stop that. Stop that. I said, don't use my name. And I was not part of anybody's team. Then one ex-big GOP bigwig in Arizona, oh, I can help you, son. I can show my cigar and I can help you do it. Yeah, let's do this, right? And all of a sudden, this attorney calls out of nowhere. And this attorney says, oh, we'll help you out. We'll help you do it. We're going to help you do it. And the whole time, what this little cadre of people were doing, were going in trying to get an audit deal, but making sure they did all the audit, and then went to the absolute lie of saying, well, this has been done before, and this is old military technology, and we'll just repurpose it. The very people that says we're going to go there and fight this and we're going to get done are the very rhinos that don't want it done, want it to stay over on machines that know it cannot be done, who want to make sure I do not see the ballots at all. This is why I'm exposing it to you. So here the guy says, well, yeah, we can look for this using my words. Once the paper is folded, it bends the fiber. It's just fiber. Using my words. And you know what's funny? This guy probably has no idea he's using my words, my innovations. It's never been done ever in the history of elections, ever. It's my patent in elections. Now, they go on to talk about, well, we can see the fold and we can do this too and blah, blah, blah. And then he says, here's the next lie they do. So now they've got the lie. It can be on those images. Absolute lie. If you do that, you'll find nothing. And if you do that and only sample a little bit of the physical ballots, all you're doing is humping the Arizona public and playing like you did something to protect them, and you didn't, right? And you didn't. So now, and they all get mad at me for this because you call them and you call them out on it, and they all basically say horrible stuff. Why? Because I'm transparent to you, and you get pissed like you should, and you call them and say, screw that, right? As I told you earlier, if you watched my broadcast today, the guy says, well, we can see the images and we can see if there's duplicates and we can see this. Number one, that's a lie. What they do is they look at the digital numbers on the tabulators, the ballot things, and those scans. Well, when it scans in, it gives it a number. What they look at is, did they see that number again? Well, asshat, you don't see that number again, because it assigns a new one every time the ballot comes in. Of course you don't see it again. The machine doesn't capture that part of it. It's intentionally neutered out of the information. So here's a guy telling you we're gonna catch the duplicates. Well, first off, you have to ask yourself, why is there any voting system that won't catch a duplicate anyway? There's a break in the system if it does do duplicates, which it does. Why would you have to look in the second half of it after lawsuits and forced to compel, telling these people are going to go to jail if they don't turn it over? Oh, well, then we'll look for duplicates. Do you understand how broken this system is? And then the guy tells you we can find it. Let me give you a different look at a ballot. Look at this. This is how I look at the ballots. Okay? This is how I look at the ballots. And basically, I want people to know that you've got to look for different types of ballots, because there's different types of ballots. Now, here's what it is. You can have $1 billion and count it over and over and still get to $1 billion, but it's no good if those dollars are counterfeit. So in my world, and what I look at, and these guys do not, is you got a legal ballot. I show that in white. You got a counterfeit ballot. I give that as an example in black. Okay. I give the green ballot I use as my example for, okay, that's the wrong format, which means it's an invalid ballot. I give the yellow one for means it was scanned over. It's a scanned ballot, not an original ballot. Then I use the sequencing impossibility and no fold kinematics to say, look, that's crap. And then I look for the foreign ones that are in there too, because you can tell. So now that I've color trained your eyes, and little Eddie Farnsworth, who's now an expert on this because people are feeding crap in his ears. You know what's really sickening? Politicians get their news from Twitter and YouTube and what other politicians and lobbyists tell them. Is that not the stupidest thing you've ever heard in the world? None of them call for the facts. Okay, so here's your check again. Instead of counting these ballots, oh, by the way, all ballots are white paper. That's not racist, by the way. They're just white paper. In the machine, they're still just the ballot. I see them this way in what I do. And that means when you look at the mass of ballots, instead of seeing just a mass of white paper, which you cannot tell anything about, this is what I see. Now, when you look at it that way, you can see the foreign actors, the bad actors, the fraudulent ballots, the valid ballots, the rescans, the triple scans, the impossible synchronicity ballots, which none of those audits in history has never, ever looked for this. They want to trick you and tell you a ballot can be as simple as one scan in a white piece of paper because they do not want you to see that. Because if you look at it properly, through computing and mechanically, that's what it exposes. Let's go on to this just incredible junk this guy says. Now, he's basically told you, which he doesn't know, never looked at one, doesn't know what one's looked at, never ran a test on one, which I have. Then he tells you, oh, we do it everywhere. There's people, you know, they can just do it. It's like easy. They can do all this. Now he's going to tell you, well, what we need is experts who really do this. Watch this.
So if you were still head of the Judicial Committee and you were working with President Fan, what would your criteria be to choose the audit or hopefully multiple audit companies that would specialize in certain areas? Maybe one is an expert in forensic, maybe one is an expert in cybersecurity. What would be your criteria or your recommendation to the Senate?
Well, as we've looked, and I did look at a number of companies, I think that we have to have people who are experienced in this kind of arena. That doesn't mean that they have to be accountants. It means that you're talking about technology people that can
Right.
look at the technology, look at the way the technology is working, look at the statistics of these things. So we're talking about people who have experience in a very specific kind of field.
Okay. Now, let me pose a question to you. See, I actually believe the public's smart. Politicians rely on the public being dumb. Okay? So, let me ask you a question and see if you get this. He says we need people that do this and have done it, and it's technology. So let me ask you a question. If this has never been done in the history of any presidential audit or voting ballot audit or anything to do with voting, because it's always been hidden. And if I come on the scene right after the election and say, holy shit, I know what happened, this is screwed up, and these guys are basically making sure they just want to, they think the public are dumbasses, right? And here's the guy saying, well, I want experts and he's certified in this field and I want to do it. So let me ask you a question. If I'm the inventor and it's my patent and my innovation of how to do it and how to spot all this different stuff, how is it I'm not certified? Oh, wait, watch. Holy fuck, I certified myself. Look, I gave myself a check mark. I'm certified. That's about as fucking certified as these guys that did the last laughing audit in Arizona. What they considered disinterested in Arizona last time, they didn't let the public watch. They made people watch behind, the security people watch behind security cameras while they were supposedly auditing stuff, which was really going on in the building, because on the Wi-Fi you could see they were playing Nintendo and Sony, and they got so upset about it, and they're such professional auditors that they changed the wireless name where people were looking to fuck you. Yeah, that's a disinterested party. Yeah, that means they have no interest in it. Because these guys don't want to get answers. Now, here's a guy using my words, my patent, my invention, my technology I've been preaching on to the public because you need to see it, regurgitating my words, basically saying, well, we need people that's been certified on it, and I think it should be people that are certified on it. Don't you think they should be certified? Are you kidding me? I haven't released the technology to anybody because I haven't certified anybody to do it, because it's my groundbreaking technology. And this election, with $14 billion spent on the election, $14 billion spent in the 2020 election. Most mail-in ballots ever printed, most mail-in ballots ever mailed, most mail-in ballots ever to be back and counted, blah, blah, blah. The most people that ever came out to vote, and that's including dead people, the most ever, right? Of course, I tell that as a joke. It's just a pun. Doesn't it require the most incredible audit ever at the same time? Does this not require the same fantastic level of audit? So you know what? There's nobody certified to do it except me. So I want an expert in the field. Well, here's this guy that tells a lie, right? You know what kinematics artifacts are. You know what it does.
With mail-in ballots being the most contested part of this recent general election, let's take a look at the ballot as a simple piece of paper. Paper has memory. If a ballot was mailed, there will be folds throughout the paper. Physics say that once the paper is bent, it can never go back to its original shape. Our systems can detect this. While looking at the paper ballots through our systems, we're not only able to tell was the ballot actually folded and mailed, but we're also able to track, did it go through the postal system and get accounted for? While looking at these ballots, we can look closely at the votes, and we can tell whether the vote was cast by a human hand or a machine. The human hand marking the oval leaves telltale signs of human dynamics. However, if the oval was filled in by a machine, it looks totally different under computer vision examination. Besides, there should be no ballots with already filled in votes. These are just a few of the things that can be detected in the paper that is the ballot. And remember, the paper is a piece of code as well. If that paper is misprinted or misaligned, it will force the voting system to ask for adjudication. Adjudication means somebody, an administrator, takes a look at the ballot and then they decide what the voter intent was. This is a potential area of deception. In the end, everything begins with the paper ballot long before it gets into the voting machine. The paper ballot is the actual historic artifact of exactly what the voter intended to do.
You understand why they don't want to show the ballot? Now, here's a guy telling you all this can be done, but they want to specifically stay away from the ballots. Let's use the machines that everybody in the world questions, that everybody thinks aren't valid, that countries around the world had been given, have booted to the side and said, go away, right? They said, go away. We're not using these things. And they want you to basically, literally look at stuff in the computer itself. You can't do it. You can't find these things. If you watched my little bitty video there, they can't tell if it's a repeat. They can't tell if it's a forged ballot. They can't tell if it's a human hand that did it or didn't. They cannot catch any of that. But see, they don't want to catch any of that. What will happen is they will do a ballot recount that they call a recount, and the numbers will be there because the paper will be printed for it. Also, what you don't know is this time clock, as these rhinos play games, here's what's really going on. All of the ballots that were tagged bag, right? They get to be thrown away. This time clock's going like this. These guys know it. And as they play this game, we've got to interview people, and we've got to find people that have done it, and we've got to do it. All they're doing is playing a game to run out the clock, so the ones they know I will find are gone. That's how this game is played. I am so sick of the fact that people work into me, GOPers, we're going to get this, we're going to talk, we're going to go right to the top. I know, no, and they're all lying. They're all lying. They're all a sham to do this Operation Stall, just like Cracklin said. They want to run this out of time because why? The corruption was nationwide. Let's keep on going with this lie, right? They want experts. Yeah, I'm going to do it again.
I would also look for people who have experience doing these types of audits. Mm-hmm. One type of audit isn't necessarily experience in another type of audit. Now, it can translate, but I would look and see if I could find somebody that has experience in doing these types of voting audits. I would look for somebody who has a successful track record in doing these kinds of voting audits.
These kind of audits. I invented this kind of audit. It's never been done before. It's a necessity of understanding all the breaks in the system. It's been just developed and known for this, but he wants people that have already done it. Do you understand how they do this? Here's a guy questions me. I've got patents in 189 countries. I do more patents in 1 year than most top inventors do in a lifetime. My technology is used by most people. The stuff I innovated, I thought of and created and got patented that's now in use around the world, whether it be licensed or my previous patents that now everybody can use. You use stuff that I innovated 8, 9, 10 times 12 a day. And this guy's trying to say who's qualified? We got to find people who is qualified. If you don't have a verifiable vote and it doesn't count, America goes down. If America goes down, the world goes down. It's really simple. This is no longer about president or political parties. They use the lie of bias and this crap as just a way to smoke and mirror you because these fraudsters want to cover up what they have done. I can teach a junior high student how to spot the fraud in 2 minutes. You know it yourself. I mean, I can tell you, okay, if we're going to look at all the white ballots and try to see what's a fraud, you know it can be done. But when I change your eyes and we use technology to understand what the temperature of the ballot is, what the ballot really looks like, and you can identify by colors the bad one, boom. That's when you start seeing all the fraud like a mathematical algorithm. That is what these asshats are afraid of. And yes, I say asshats. You know why I say asshats? I am so sick of politicians not listening to the people. I posted today, people are screaming because I open your eyes. You do your screaming on your own. I've never shared an email, go scream at this. People do it on their own. They're calling their senators, Republicans, and sending them emails. Please be nice when you do that. Please be nice when you do that. And these guys are upset they're hearing from the public. Let me tell you about the handlers, right? The handlers that all of a sudden tried to get in and handle me, saying, you shouldn't talk to the public. You shouldn't tell them how it works. You shouldn't be transparent with them. It was because they didn't want you to know. That's how these guys do it. They wanted me to shut the hell up. Now, there's nobody with a track record doing this. I do not care about the machines. I do not care about the machines. I don't want to audit the machines. I don't want the hard drives on the machines. I do not want anything doing with the machine. I want to rescan a digital photograph, a forensic clone of the ballot and start all over. But you know what? Hey, they're not certified, and he knows this has never been done before, ever. He's repeating my words, my technology, my patents. He's basically saying, well, anybody can do it, and they can do it at this such a high speed. He even claims there's people around the world that can do it.
There are a number of companies that have, I think, international experience in this kind of auditing, and so that would probably be my criteria.
You have no criteria, Little Eddie. You have none. The only international company involved in this is Dominion. Is that who you're speaking about, Little Eddie? You know, somebody said something. Let's see right here. Hold on one second. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. These things move so fast. Brett, you pointed it out. I can't believe they would want to live in a communist country even if they got bribe paychecks. Let me tell you how this works. You don't go communist right away. Basically, you become socialist first. Now, in socialism, they lock the political parties, it's a class, and they get to do it forever. So what they have is they get as much money as they can right now. They lock their cushy jobs that they can never be elected out of. That's what they're vying for. That's the socialist way. The government will tell you what to do. The government will tell everything for you. The government will decide everything for you. And your tax rate, instead of being 28% or less, your tax rate is 76% or greater. 80 cents of their every dollar you have is what they want to run this. That's what they want. So we don't go communist right away. That's not how it works. You go socialist first to kind of ease you in. Now, the first trick in every socialism country, did you know every socialism country suffered a massive pandemic before socialism came in? Did you know that? Do your homework. The government came and said, we'll save you, we'll save you. All of it ushered in socialism. And then in socialism, the we'll save you means we know what it is and we're going to take care of you and here it is, and you got a new health plan for everybody. Yeah. You know, here's what I find ironic. When Bernie was running, claimed socialized health care for everybody, Bernie had a heart attack. He needed a stent. He went to the hospital, got the stent the next day. The lie is, if we were socialist and it was you or me and we had a heart attack, we'd get on a waiting list for a minimum of 3 years before we could go in. That's how this works. Now, communism won't come right away. Socialism comes first, and all these guys will be dead and gone. All they're trying to do when they play the socialist card is make sure their families get in to the socialist team, because then it'll be that way. So here's how it works. If they don't give you your rights to vote, if they're not willing to go to top extent to do it, what they're doing is they're becoming complacent and they agree. So here's what happens. That means the ruling party that's in right now will bring in new laws to make sure they can never be undone. That's the first thing they do. Oh, wait, that's happening. The next thing they do is they start censoring everybody that tells the truth. That's how you can tell you're headed for socialism. Oh, wait, that's happening. Then they start getting control of the media, and the media starts messing with your brain to tell you the government's the best thing for you. Oh, wait, that's happening. And then they basically have such a horrible run election. What they do What they do is they actually get people so disheartened by the vote that people stop voting. Oh, wait, that's what's going on right now. And here's what happens. When you stop voting, and you're right, Anton, they just passed legalized mass mail-in ballots with no ID laws. Go look up the most corrupt campaign ever acknowledged, 2012 Russian campaign. They did everything that happened in our 2020 election. They'll talk about that being corrupt. They won't talk about this being corrupt, right? I did this. I was saying exactly the same thing at Scottsdale Studios on their last podcast when I saw this. If you're the one that sent me and alerted to me, thank you. Because a bunch of asshats sat there lying through their teeth to the public and have no idea what's going on. But then last but not least, think about this. If everybody gets disheartened with elections and they don't vote, two things happen. These asshats in here that think, we got to play nice and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And my God, if they cancel me, I won't have a life and nobody will like me anymore. Those little GOP rhino asshats that play that game, what will happen is nobody will vote. Those little asshats right now that are trying to play nice will be out. Everybody will be the same. You will never need to rig another election. Mary, you're absolutely right. We are turning into a third world country. So there you go. I just wanted to expose the lies. Here is a guy that was on the Judiciary Review Committee or whatever he was, telling you something he knows nothing about, being told by supposedly indifferent but GOP auditors, well, we got this right, we can look at the machines, which is a lie because they're just buying for a big auditing contract. Hope they can repeat it state to state to state to state, which will turn up nothing. Have you ever heard of anything so stupid? Cat Dandy, you got the last question. Ready? Cat Dandy says, what more can we do? Look, every time I come to you and I talk to you, the Senate and Arizona reps, they've stopped answering their phones because they're getting crushed with calls and crushed with emails. Miss Fan, they won't even talk to anybody now, but they'll get little speakers like this to go out and say discrediting stuff. So you can ask them, how does, who's been certified on Jovan's process? That's the real question because nobody has. The interesting thing about it is, who are these auditors going to come in and do my process? You know, I've had to fight the top auto manufacturers, the leading electronic manufacturers in the world, and won every one of them. It's how I made my name in intellectual property. Started when I was 23 years old and won the largest case ever perfecting the Lanham Act. And these guys, these auditors are willing to walk in. Great. We'll put your record of doing it, which you've never done before, with my record of I invented it, here's what it is, here's everybody that uses my stuff, and now you tell me how you innovate it and you can get around that work. That's interesting. That's the same reason Dominion sues. And in this case, I'd be Dominion too if people are trampling all over my IP and stuff. They have that right. That's how it goes. So really interesting with these auditors, but you know who these auditors are? Political cronies. Political cronies. And this is part of how they make their living. My expenses, everybody keeps asking, have already been taken care of. It's part of the program. There are donors willing to take care of it. They already know it's not really costing them anything because the public will do it. So, you got to share this. You got to talk about it. You got to scream about it. You got to let them know you know their number. Call them out on that stuff. Call them out on that stuff and ask them, by the way, who's certified on Jovan's process? Who's certified to use his intellectual property? Who's done a kinematic artifact detection for it? Point me to one. Oh, you can tell the difference between counterfeit ballot, the wrong fiber, human handwriting versus machine. You can tell the counterfeit one done by machine. Let me give you an example. You know these ballot marking devices where they give you the ballot, you choose on the machine, and it fills out the little oval for you? Think about that. You know what they're telling you? They're telling you you're such a dribbling, mouth-breathing idiot, you can't fill in a circle with a pen. Or are they saying, you know what? If we get them to use our technology to mark the ballot, number one, we got another machine to sell. But you know what? That means the reader can't tell the difference between a human hand and a fake printed ballot en masse because it can only read printed ballots. Think about that. I love you all. I hate what is going on. Take care.